Wapakoneta as we move the WBL regular season. Welcome the end of St. Mary's
TSC can save you money.
How?
TSC can save you money with Emerge.
What's Emerge?
The Emerge bundle plan. TSC will merge your phone, cable TV, and internet into one nice, neat package to save you money.
How much money?
A boatload. The Emerge bundle plan, only from TSC.
TSC, give us a call and see. It's easy as 1, 2, 3, call TSC.
When you see an orange truck, you think GA Windsor & Son Company. But the next time you see an orange GA Windsor & Son truck, we want you to think green. Why green? Because GA Windsor & Son are the original recyclers. Using a modern fleet of trucks, GA Windsor & Son Company collects food co-products from restaurants, food retailers, and food manufacturers in Ohio, Indiana, Michigan, and Kentucky. These food co-products are used to manufacture quality livestock and pet care feed ingredients. So the next time you see an orange GA Windsor & Son truck, think green.
Dr. Compton has been delivering quality chiropractic care for nearly 20 years. He's committed to helping you find relief as quick as possible so there's no lengthy care plans. At Neck and Back Pain Relief Center, most insurances are accepted and walk-ins are always welcome. Conveniently located in downtown St. Mary's across from Chase Bank. To learn more, visit us online at smpainrelief.com and follow us on social media.
It's the name that you want to remember. Neck and Back Pain Relief Center.
Hello, Frost Roofing.
Frost Roofing holds the same core values our company was founded upon nearly 9 decades ago. We proudly provide quality craftsmanship and top-notch service to each client we serve. We're licensed by several major roofing manufacturers to give you the right recommendations at the best value for your investment. With state-of-the-art equipment, cutting-edge technology, and our honest way of doing business, Frost Roofing is our area's preferred commercial roofing experts. To learn more, visit frost-roofing.com or call 419-739-ROOF.
Where is that TSC bill? How can I pay it if I can't find it?
You don't need the bill. You can pay it online at telcirco.com.
Wasn't there a special this month?
Yes, we got it from TSC's Facebook page.
I know I've got the announcement for the club here somewhere.
I just sent it to TSC to air on Channel 2. With telcirco.com, Facebook, Channel 2, and their newsletter, TSC makes it easy to stay connected.
Now, if they could just help me clean up my desk.
It's easy as 1, 2, 3, call TSC.
Casa Chic in Wapakoneta has what you need for game night. Cheer for our Redskins in sweatshirts, sweaters, handcrafted scarves, hats, and gloves. Casa Chic has a variety of vendors, each with a unique style of their own. From handcrafted pottery to knit items to an eclectic blend of home and garden decor to new and refurbished furniture for any room in your home. Come see what Casa Chic has for you. IC Signs designs, creates, and installs custom eye-catching signs. We use state-of-the-art technology to produce indoor and outdoor signs, LED message boards, and vehicle wraps. We can also help you with LED light conversion, sign refurbishing, custom t-shirts, promotional items, and your print needs. Whether you know what you want or have no idea, trust the experience of IC Signs. Call IC Signs at 419-738-6640.
Owen Kitchen and Bath Showroom has been family owned and operated since 1990. We can help you from start to finish with your entire project. Let one of our professional designers put the final touches on your project. Owen Kitchen and Bath now has 2 showrooms to better serve you in Wapakoneta and Lima. Owen Kitchen and Bath, cabinetry that will take your breath away at prices that won't.
There you see the seniors here at Ryan Field tonight. All the seniors honored before the contest for Wapakoneta. They start 5. St. Mary's on the other side. Kind of a couple of younger teams. Hirn and Eli Alvarez and St. Mary's themselves, Eli. They start 4 seniors.
Yeah, we should be in for a good one looking at the upperclassmen for both teams as they're being announced with their starting lineup. These are 2 programs that over the past few years aren't traditional soccer powerhouses, but the past 4 to 5 years for both St. Mary's and Wapak, they've enjoyed much success in the Western Buckeye League. this year no different as they're neck and neck right now for that third spot.
You go back and you look at the rest of the history like you talked about for St. Mary's. It wasn't until 2014 in their 18th year in the league that they were able to pick up a WBL title. They played well since then, and a big part of that was, for Coach Dave Ring, was building the culture of St. Mary's. We know it's a football town.
Well, yeah.
But right now they're making it a football town.
And what I even remember back from my playing days was St. Mary's, they were the force to be reckoned with when you came into to soccer, although football was struggling back then, and now they've built themselves up. As you look at the starting lineups first with the Redskins, you spoke about those 5 seniors and 4 juniors in the starting lineup on senior night, so very emotional night for some of these players playing their final game here at Ryan Field for the Redskins. And then you look at the Roughriders and what they've been able to accomplish this year. And again, maybe not to the success that they had in past few years, but they're still always up there and the top of the table in the Western Buckeye League for sure, Mike.
And it's going to be interesting here when we get to our keys in a second that one of the things you're going to talk about is not playing kickball, but not to steal that a little bit, but 2 very good goalkeepers. Henry Spencer on the year. Some people call him Hank. He has 52 saves. And on the other side, you go for Wapak, and Ross Burkhart has 6 shutouts, and he's held opponents to 1 goal 5 times.
Yeah, these are 2 teams that are very disciplined. They're coached very well. They know how to play soccer correctly, and sometimes you don't get that at this level in high school soccer, so it should be a good quality matchup to watch out on the pitch tonight.
And look at what St. Mary's has done coming in as you get a look at the keys now.
Yeah, and just looking at the keys to the game and what both these teams have to do tonight to be victorious and get that edge on the other in the Western Buckeye League standings, starting with the St. Mary's Roughriders. They got to stay organized in that back line. This is an offense that knows what they're doing. They'll pass around you, so you got to keep talking and play well out there in the defense. Don't play kickball. Don't just kick the ball out of nowhere. That's not the type of soccer St. Mary's is used to. And then again, the last one, just play your style, and that's possession game. So for the Redskins, their keys look like this. Control the possession game. They love to move the ball around. They love to control the midfield. They also don't want to waste their set pieces. You get so little in high school soccer, and when you get them, you got to capitalize and finish in the final third. That's the most difficult thing to do throughout all of soccer at any level.
So you see Wapak started off with the ball and right on cue, right as you're trying to say control your possessions, just a big boot right up just to figure out where St. Mary's is going to start with them defensively.
Well, and Mike, you and I were there Tuesday for the girls' version of this contest over in St. Mary's, and it's the same thing for the guys as it is the girls. The first 10 minutes will be a feeling out process, both teams coming out trying to find their feet, try to find their legs, and the crucial thing is trying to get those first few touches of the ball, and then both teams will start to settle down.
Got to see Wapak when they took on Ottawa Glandorf in their last WBO game. They end up with the tie, 1-1, as Wapak now, their first opportunity towards the box is across the goal line. Not really a threat for Spencer, but still something to work on. Peyton Harshbarger, I've been impressed. As a freshman coming in, one of the starters, he has the first goal for Wapak in that game with about 11 minutes to go. OG ends up getting the equalizer with 19 seconds to go on a header. And if you look at what Coach Raymond said, he sent me some stuff. He lists Heartbreaker in all caps and with a giant exclamation point.
Yeah, and you know as well as anybody, this is one of the most emotional games there is in high school sports, and we saw it on Tuesday with the matchup between these 2 teams. It just takes that one opportunity to get the ball in the back of the net, and things could change.
DJ O'Neill mixing it up with Evan Vogel. Vogel will not make the Wapakoneta fans very happy as he's shoved down and will get to kick here.
And I will say this too, unlike Tuesday, nice condition so far for this one for the boys contest. No rain. Exactly.
There's wood I just knocked on. I just want to point that out. He said that, but it has been back and forth. Ball headed the wrong way for St. Mary's. Still able to play it, though, from the front of the box. And Max Milkey, he's had a good season so far for the Roughriders, and they've gotten their scoring from a litany of players all in the year, obviously led by Evan Vogel, 22 goals and 5 assists. But a big part, they have been able to spread the field at times in their contests. A big reason why they sit at 11-2-2.
Well, and you see right there, one of the big reasons coming up with our keys to the game was keep organized in the back line, and so far St. Mary is able to do it at the moment, but now you got to throw in dangerous territory for Wapak.
Yeah, and that's dangerous too, because you try to clear that out if you're St. Mary's, and you almost put that one across the goal line and end up as a corner.
Too much space for that cross.
Wow, that ball crossed all the way in front. Colton Bissinger, he had you see him in the background, he had his hands up on his head like, if I could have gotten that.
And there was no body on the throw-in to get and pressure the crosser there because that was just too easy. He had all the time in the world to set it up, and fortunately for the Roughriders, it just harmlessly goes across the face of goal.
So Wapak takes the first corner of the game. Ball headed across the goal and just about, just hung up there, and it just sticks in the back.
Yeah, and we talk about not wasting set pieces early, a great opportunity for the Redskins. It's kind of starting off like the girls' contest where Wapak's having the majority of the chances early on, and that's going to help them going forward confidence-wise.
So now Spencer, the sophomore, will put the big boot into it. It's kind of held up a little bit. Not really any big wind to talk about. We had the other night where it was 7 or 8 miles an hour. It's roughly the same right now.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how Wapak does here behind Tyler Amstutz, one of the starters, the junior. Two very young teams overall. You look at where a lot of their points and their opportunities are coming from. They'll have probably this matchup for a couple of years as a shot on goal stopped from the left foot into the hands of Spencer.
Yeah, Aaron Good with a nice rocket shot, just didn't fool the keeper.
He was up there all by himself, too. Had 3 defenders kind of looking at him from that left side of the box. As now St. Mary's tries to go on the attack behind Austin Wilker, who leads them in assists on the year with 19.
We'll see if this game starts to open up a little bit now that both teams have had their first few cracks at the side of goal.
Kind of get this feeling. I saw Burkhardt again. I was talking about the OG game last week where the Titans were able to make a couple of runs at him, but he made some terrific saves. There are 3 specifically that I remember where I just went, it's not hard to figure out. He's good.
And if you can have that wall back there, it helps your defense relax a little bit, and they have confidence in their keeper.
Milky, the senior, now on a run, shoots one right into the hands of Burkhardt across the goal line.
And that's the biggest thing, too, as a defender, to know, and we've talked about this before, the goalkeeper is essentially the quarterback of this team. They're the ones that they can see the entire field. They have to yell out the instructions and let everybody else know what's going on, and they're really the ones that are the play callers out there.
Seth Ricketts kicks one away now for Wapak as they try to get back up towards the center. Luke Beach, another one of the big scorers. Look what each one of these teams did in their last contest. St. Mary's is in the middle, by the way, of 3 straight away games. 4 in the last 5 games the way they finished out their season. Beat Ben Logan on Monday 8-1. Wapak comes in with a 7-1 win over Lima Senior that gives them 6 straight unbeaten matches, 5 wins and a tie. It's a heck of a way to wrap up the last part of your regular season, and talked about it in the girls' game. It's not out of the realm possibility. They meet again here before long.
Well, I would say that if you're a betting man, you would bet on that because St. Mary's got the matchup with the Cougars, who are winless in the Western Buckeye League this year. In the first round, they chose not to take a bye and play that first round game, and if they win, they've got the Redskins.
So you don't have faith in your Cougars, is what you're saying?
Well, it's been a rough year for Van Wert on both the boys and girls side of things.
But the future's looking up, right? Hopefully.
I would say yes. The hope is there.
Now with the throw-in coming from Austin Wilker. Comes right back to Aaron Good for Wapak, but not without a fight between the white and the blue jerseys. Both teams still looking to figure out where that passing lane is right now. Wapak has been the aggressor with that as here comes Hunter Coffey. Coffey over to the back line, sends one up front, and that would have been probably good for him if Colton Bissinger had been able to get up to put his foot on it.
Well, Coffey just using his speed to get around the defender. Unfortunately, none of his teammates were able to follow up any of his action to the box. Otherwise, that could have been trouble for the Roughriders earlier.
Is that a hard thing, though? Obviously, you've got as much speed as he does, right? Being able to have to slow down. You see the 2 defenders. You look where the goal is at. You don't have a good look at who's behind you because if you stop, it's just going to get taken away from you.
Well, and that was one thing as a player you never sometimes understood, especially if you didn't have that speed and you were more of a skill player. When those players that had the speed played over you, you would say, well, they're not as good as controlling that. But then as a coach, you're saying, you know what, I can't teach speed. I can teach skill.
Right.
So if you can get a player out there like Coffey who's got the speed, you're just hoping he gets it up there and the rest of the teammates follow and something good can come of it.
The substitutions eventually coming up. There's a pair for Wapak and one for the Roughriders. As the ball booted into the front of the box. Back out for Ethan Milky now. He tries to set something up for Austin Wilker. Wilker will just put one ahead, trying to find a lead for Sam Young. Young kind of caught in no man's land. He had a couple of defenders in front of him. As we make these substitutions about 8 minutes into the game. Each team a little bit of feeling out right now. And figuring out exactly what they want to do. As you see Austin Wilker, who will make this throw in.
And one of the things to comment on is the level of play right now to both teams. It's very exciting to watch what these teams are doing so far. That's another great opportunity.
That's
for
a nice throw.
Yeah, it was a nice throw in. And these are two teams, like as we said in the pregame, they're very disciplined. They understand how you're supposed to play the game correctly, and you can tell they're not getting congested in the midfield. They're using the space of the field to really just kind of move the ball around freely.
So it's Beach actually who ends up knocking that one away, and it's one of my favorite things to watch. Both sides. It doesn't matter. We talk about all the time. You're never going to make everybody happy. Kind of a little pushing and shoving on each side is Noah Vogel able to clear it back out for St. Mary's, and they try and go on a run.
That one goes out of bounds. Luke Beach, actually on the football team as well, handles the kickoff duties. Tristan Gessler, who's also on the roster, he usually handles the PATs for the Redskins.
And you've got that a little bit on each side because Parker Enoch, a senior for St. Mary's, has gotten a couple of kickoffs and a couple of extra points the last couple of weeks. One a couple of weeks ago for St. Mary's. He actually kept, with the way that it worked out with the younger kids in, after the touchdown, kept Gabe Vanderveer, who used to be on the soccer team for St. Mary's, that kept him from tying a school record for extra points in a game.
That was the Elida game, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
He only ends up with 8. The school record's 9. I think he might get another chance, though, next week when St. Mary's takes on Defiance. First 10 minutes gone now. Each team trying not to make that first mistake. As Gessler, you talked about him right on cue. Footed back up and across. That didn't travel near as much as I think that Alex Smithy thought it was going to.
I would say this, the one big difference, obviously we talked about how Wapak on the girls' side, undefeated going into their contest last night. They felt the pressure of scoring and trying to score early. Both these teams are evenly matched, and neither one of them is expected to be the favorite in this one, so they can both just play their game, and whatever happens, happens. Obviously, you'd like to get the win, but neither of them feel any extra pressure that they have to win it.
Both St. Mary's losses this year coming in the WBL, 4-2 against Kenton, at Kenton. And then later on, they lost at home 2-1 to Elida. Elida, by the way, for most of the season, if you don't know, ends up being ranked in the state. That's and I believe, if I remember right, that goal ends up coming pretty late for the Bulldogs to change how that game plays out. Just kind of like this. A ball plays one way. If you don't get it correctly and early, if you're Henry Spencer, you make one mistake and all of a sudden, boom, you're down. And it changes how this game goes.
Well, both these goalkeepers very calm so far. They've been cleaning up most of the action that's come to them in their box, and that's what you want out of your keeper, just to kind of be the calm force for the team.
Smoothly now. He kind of bought himself. Austin Booker turned the other way when he thought maybe he was going to go left. But again, you see how many times now Spencer has touched the ball, and you wonder. I always wonder what kind of cumulative effect that has. You have to come out the first 10, 12 minutes, chase a lot of balls. Kind of later on, all right, you've had that as a meeting between Duncan Fry and Gessler.
Well, it's just like if you're out there playing the field. Once you get that first touch of the ball as a goalkeeper as well, you get that first goal kick, the first punt out of the way, then you're really set and ready to go. And it's all a comfort level, really, at this point.
Ricketts, the senior, will tee it up with 28 minutes to go in the first half. Nice. Long floated kick. Just too many blue jerseys headed back the right way for St. Mary's, but it stays right with Wapak. They did a nice job, Harshbarger did, as he got out to it.
Maybe the one criticism there for Spencer is that he could have come out and possibly tried to collect that one and prevent any further damage, but nothing came of it.
That's kind of the old if you do, if you don't sort of thing, though. You're able to say that from here, and obviously looking at it as a coach, he's looking at it as, I don't want to be the first guy to make that mistake.
And the thing is, too, if he does come out and clear it away, possibly if he gets the punch on it, you're onto a counterattack. But if he misses that punch at the same time, obviously you're going to get upset coach. But if he doesn't come out and they end up scoring off it, you're also going to get an upset coach. So it's one of those decisions that whatever you're going to do, you have to stick to it and make that decision early.
Long leg from Wilker. St. Mary's is going to make him go look for a new ball.
I love
Ethan
the
Rose,
invention.
the junior, had an idea. Just a little too high.
Yeah, nothing. No shot is too out of the ordinary when you're in the box. If you can get that foot on it, and Rose doing a great job of just twisting his body around to try to get some type of contact, just barely misses over the bar.
Substitutions on the St. Mary's side brings in Parker Enoch. Talked about him a little bit ago. He did have the extra point in the kickoff. He had 2 kickoffs last week. One was about 35. He had one, though, he just boomed and put it about 50. So we'll see is obviously, and that's the neat thing I think about smaller schools and smaller programs than the Division I with the big schools, Cleveland, Cincinnati, and like that you're able to sort of cultivate your kicker, and he's able to work with both coaches to be able to do both.
Well, and I believe now that this is the first year that Van Wert has allowed players to dual sport, and they have a kicker, and Jake Lotzenheiser, who's on the soccer team as well. Every team in the Western Buckeye League now has the ability to do that.
Amstutz puts a nice lead. It just took a bounce too far for Coffey, at least momentarily, as he dribbles down the front of the line. And ultimately kind of got stuck there anyways.
Well, it was a nice idea, and if he would have maybe got just a slight more touch on that ball and wouldn't have been able to roll out, but right idea, just didn't go his way.
Up right off the forehead of Luke Beach for Wapak. Nice head for Vogel. He tried to leave it as a lead for Parker Enoch. You kind of get through where you know what to expect now after the first 15 minutes being gone.
Well, you do, but at the same time, also now is where the intensity can pick up.
Right on cue.
Right there. As both teams are going to start to get frustrated with each other just a bit if that continues. But again, this is St. Mary's and Wapak, so they're used to this.
Amstutz with the foul will put the boot on Austin Wilker. You see the way that this shot is set up right now. It's probably going to disappear from the front of this shot with as much as he's put a foot into this ball. Off towards the front of the goal headed, and it bounces in front. Burkhart.
And no real trouble for Burkhart. Good job to come out and collect, and now they can try to push the pace the other way.
It's gained 5 shutouts and a handful of games with just allowing 1 goal this year. So lights are on bright. It is. It was a little foggy earlier on, obviously, in the area, like you said. Not a lot of rain. I'm superstitious about that now. St. Mary's works, tries to get something. Enoch with a big foot. Might have been good through the uprights tomorrow night, but right now, just too high.
Tell you what, though, he had a lot of space and a lot of time to try to time that one up, just missing over the top of the crossbar, but that was one of the first real good chances from outside the box for St. Mary's tonight.
I thought they did a nice job setting that up because he just sort of floated in there at the last second, the way that they worked from the corner of the box, and he comes up. One shot, but just too much leg.
Well, that's the big thing you see out of these two schools. Not only do the players have skill on the ball, but they have it off the ball as well.
Wasn't there another high bounce? And Rose tried a little, almost like the jump kick on his way down. Just turned his body a little too much when he fell down. And that ball, really thought that was going to spin back, but it would have played for Wapak either way. Nice steal, the aggressiveness from Wilker. Now dribbles through, tries to get himself inside. Just incidental contact.
Yeah, I tell you what, that right there is a hard one to give if you're the official for St. Mary's, because both players going for the ball. I think obviously both teams are unhappy with whatever the call is, but I like the no call there.
Well, and again, keep in mind, a couple of days ago when we had the girls' version of this game, the ultimate goal, the decider, ends up being because of a foul in the box.
Well, and if you're Wilker, in that instance, you made such a great run to get forward, nice skill move to get into the box, and then I'm not saying that he went down easily, but you're a little upset that after all that effort, you're not getting anything in reward.
Amstutz with a shot towards the goal. Henry Spencer able to pick it up. Had to go high in the left corner to stop that one. And again, you know, you wonder, I thought it looked like he let himself maybe a little too far, where he tried to put it further off his own boot with a left foot, where neither defender was going to be able to get to it, and because of that, he had to try and change whatever was coming next.
Well, I will say this. If that happens outside the box, it is a foul, and St. Mary's is getting the free kick. But because it's in the 18-yard box, they're not going to give that one.
Wilker with another long line drive. This one will just roll across the goal line, and Ross will be happy that he can just drag it down. So now as the train rolls by, the ball put in motion. Rose with the header for St. Mary's. Done a good job for me of being able to turn one into three.
Yeah.
You get one guy up, and all of a sudden, there's two blue jerseys going with him.
And right now, they're doing a good job of not letting Wapak get that ball back across midfield. As soon as it goes into the Wapak attacking third, it's going right back the other way. And St. Mary's has kind of changed the script of this one here in the last 5 minutes. They're all attack right now.
Wilker now with the ball on his own foot, puts a shot off the bounce, and Burkhart with the save. You can see how hard that ball was kicked. Not only when he tried to set his feet to make sure he had it, but when he tried to come back up after picking it up.
And that's a tricky one for Burkhart to deal with because the ball bounces before it even gets to him. If it's a line drive shot to him, he can just get his body in the way and force it down. But now he's got to be wary of the bounce, and he did a good job taking care of it there.
Well, imagine that's what Wilker was initially trying to do. Try to bring that one down a little bit. St. Mary's has had a couple that have sailed. The last 2 or 3, well, really the last 4 or 5 minutes, they've been the aggressor, but before that it was Wapak behind the same young man and Hunter Coffey. So kind of going back and forth, but St. Mary's, like I said, it's quickly they've been able to turn any ball, it's just sitting for just a split second, into their favor in the last 10 minutes.
And that's just a result of how organized they are right now. As you see, nice little skill move there.
Alex Smithy with a nice move. He said Parker Enoch was going one way. I just let him go by. Ultimately, though, it ends up as a throw-in for St. Mary's and Wilker again. It's an all-WBL selection a year ago. There's a good chance. Just look at his numbers. He's probably going to be again. 35 points. That's 8 goals and 19 assists. Enoch,
oh man,
just on the crossover, not able to get to a 1-0 lead.
Well, he got past his man. It was one-on-one with the keeper, and a great job by Burkhart to force him to have to go to the outside there, and it just went wide of the post, but a really solid and great opportunity there for Enoch. Probably the best of the game so far.
Substitutions on both sides. Wilker was the first team at WBL selection a year ago.
Another great step.
And he shoots another one. This one, Burkhart has to go down to be able to stop.
Yeah, now St. Mary's really putting the pressure on this back line of Wapak. And we talked about it in the girls' game with how the Redskins on Tuesday were pressuring that St. Mary's defense. You continue to do this, good things will come, and you can kind of sense a goal somewhere ahead here for the Roughriders if they keep this up.
Wilker was the first team WBL selection last year. Howie Spencer third and Adam Vogel second. One of 5 different Roughriders that were picked as all Western Buckeye League selections. St. Mary's I played it for a second. Good decision between Graham Kerr and Peyton Harshbarger to be able to sort of 2-for-1 that one and take it away from the Roughriders, albeit momentarily. On the run again, here comes Wilker. I'd imagine he's right up. I don't have the entire league, but I imagine that 19 assists is going to be right up near the top of the league.
He knows a thing or two about assists as well, being a big part of that St. Mary's basketball team in the winter.
Well, what you haven't seen yet is him being able to set up Evan Vogel. Vogel with 49 points on the year and those 22 goals I talked about. He's kind of had to be a one-man army at times as Wilker. Whether that's by necessity or by design, as here he comes again, working on Gessler. And he wipes out of the back line.
Yeah, and you credit that back line of the Redskins for what they've been able to do to kind of take away the two-headed monster of the St. Mary's attack.
Pair of substitutions for the Roughriders as they make frequent. It makes it a little easier to see when they're running away, not when they're coming towards you with the blue and the gold striping on the front.
I will say I do like the uniforms, though. They're very slick design on the front.
Yes, they are. Just something to be said about both sides. Always, that's what you come here for Game Face Ohio, the fashion game, right? That's what most people come for. Duncan Fry in for St. Mary's. Now as we're Coming up on 15 minutes left in the first half. Little duck for Vogel as he tries to get it away. Now Noah Vogel trying to make his own run. It was Evan and then Noah. Ball into the front of the box. Evan now on the run. His shot. Was that deflected or nope. He just missed it off the side as the sub comes in for Wapak.
Yeah, nice job by Vogel to outmuscle his man to get position to even get that shot off, because it looked like it was going to be easily dealt with by the defense there.
And that's one again that you look at Burkhardt. He's been working hard. Earlier on, it was Spencer where he had probably a solid 3 or 4 shots that came his way in a span of about 2 minutes. But now being able to work back the other way.
Yeah, and I look for that to change here. You can't keep up this type of pressure the entire game if you're St. Mary's. You're going to try to, obviously, but eventually you're going to get some tired legs. You're going to have to make some subs, and it's not going to be the same type of chemistry up top.
Last year, these two teams met on October the 6th, and it was a 2-1 win at St. Mary's for Wapak. Oh, wow, nobody really there as that shot line drived. Nobody stopped Alex Smithy. I don't know if everybody thought he was going to just stop.
Well, Smithy doing a good job of taking the shot and not trying to pass it off, because that was the right play all the way. Just didn't really trouble the keeper too much there.
Well, I think the worst part was for St. Mary's is that Henry Spencer just sort of looked at everybody like, what, nobody was going to help out on that one? Smithy made a nice play to even get that shot off. Surprised a little bit, though, that maybe he didn't drive a little further to try and get to that. But he sees a different thing than I do.
Well, you had to believe that the defense was eventually going to close down on him, so he saw his opportunity and he took it.
Good at it for a moment at midfield for Wapak. The lead cut off, at least momentarily, by Dietz. Shot into the box now. The keeper, if you think the last one was easy, this one was not. Two guys running full speed between, it looked like Good and Gessler, and the slide for Spencer to be able to knock that one down. Enoch now with the lead, knocked away before he could get into the front line.
No, not easy by any means, but you expect Spencer to be able to clean that one up as he got the better jump to get after it.
Mistake by Wapak. St. Mary's trying to turn it into something. Yeah. And Ethan Rose off the steal, knocked down by Seth Ricketts.
Now, with the leg that Wilker's got, it's not out of the realm of possibility that he goes on goal here and tries to get,
We've got Evan Vogel up there, too, putting the ball down, and he's got a good leg.
First of all, if you're Burkhardt, you got to get this wall set up, and you got to make sure you can see that ball coming the entire way, because it's going to come fast.
So he's now got 4 brave souls in front of this big leg, and too much. High, wide, and right.
Tell you what, though, not a bad idea. That's where you want to place it on that side. I mean, ideally, you want it to go up and over the wall left corner, but if you've got the keeper thinking that's where you're going, you can try to fool him going the other way, but just barely missed it.
I think if you're Wilker, you almost wish that he's been fouled 5 or 6 yards back.
Yeah.
With as much leg. It almost looked like the way that he turned his foot, he had to take a little off with how he's been kicking so far today. Ball led back down now towards the corner. Gessler will play it, and it'll be a throw in for Wapak. So they throw the first ball out of play. We don't need that one. Now down into the corner of the throw off the front of the box for Aaron Good. Go to send it back out to the left foot of Amstutz, and a play back around to Luke Beach. You got a feel in Beach, he's got a big shot coming up here before long. Wapak did a nice job for the most part running lanes and interference with a 2-on-1 near the front of the box, but just didn't play out how they were looking.
Yeah, well, it's been a while since the Redskins have been up there in that attacking third, so they're trying to get used to that once again, but the ball movement, right idea, just couldn't execute it.
Amstutz rolls one through into the waiting hands of the pink jerseyed Henry Spencer.
And that's the one thing about this Wapak team that you got to like from a coaching perspective, is these guys' willingness to share the ball. Now, every once in a while that may come to effect where you should take a shot and you pass it instead, but if you've got guys up front that aren't selfish and don't care about scoring goals as much as setting their teammates up for goals, and that's a recipe for success.
You look, we talked about the tournament a little bit later on that St. Mary's has got Van Wert, But if they're to win that one, these two teams would play a second time, but at Roughrider Field.
Right, because St. Mary's having the higher seed for sure. And you look at Coach Ring's decision to not take the bye, and I really think it's a smart one. You don't see it as much in soccer as you do in high school basketball, but it's a Van Wert team. They beat earlier this year 8-0. Again, the Cougars winless in the Western Buckeye League this year, only 3 wins overall, so you got to like their chances of coming out of that one.
Plus, you get another home game.
Exactly.
Which we talked about. This is 4 out of 5 to finish up the regular season. That's today here for St. Mary's in the last 3. Ball punched away. Great decision. I'd keep that away from Hunter Coffey because that takes an extra bounce. Maybe a little English on it, too. Coffey probably shoots at the back of the net.
It's leading to this now. Counter.
Vogel able to get it for a second, but Caleb Benny, second leading goal scorer for Wapak, able to come and help knock it away.
Not only was he able, Spencer there, to get a fist on it, but he followed it up then to make sure that it was for sure cleaned up.
Here's another one. He's going to have to come out and slide to make the play. That ball just took a horrible redirect if you're a St. Mary's supporter, but a couple of interesting bounces so far, the way these balls have gone.
I will say I'm very impressed with how the flow of this game has gone so far. Again, not much congestion in the midfield. Both teams getting the ball and they're attacking third at some point for a good amount of time in this contest, as we're going to see another throw in here in dangerous territory. And you got to think with about 10 minutes to go here in the first half that first goal's coming, and both teams really have had good chances at this point.
Yeah, just a matter of which way that it goes, the left or the right side of the board. And off the throw, Michael D says, yeah, we don't need that ball. Try another one. Go back there and throw the ball in. Just outside of 10 minutes now left in the first half. This is one of a myriad of times that these two schools, I feel like they meet in pretty much everything in a span of about 2.5 weeks. Every fall sport, it's just the way that the fall schedules work out. Wilker, they probably got away with a shove because it wasn't anywhere near the play. Ball off the front of the box, knocked away. Great hustle by, look like it'll be Howie Spencer, and it'll be a corner kick for Wapak.
Well, I was going to say that possibly they gave the advantage play, but the official didn't signal for it. So, yeah, maybe a possible foul, but they're letting them play at the moment.
Now into the corner, it'll be Hunter Coffey, the junior, who will set it up. Tried to give and go. Beach, he turned the wrong way. Everybody else set up right. He went left, and a high shot that Hank Spencer is able to pull down. I say that because the one stat sheet that they gave me, one says Henry, one says Hank. You do it either way. So now under 10 minutes as Beach puts one back up in front. St. Mary's quickly takes it away from the midfielder and Duncan Fry.
I guess we'll know based on how many complaints you get.
True. Friday nights had to send the complaints to Denny. Doesn't work that way. Send up Eli. Lead up front. Wow.
Oh, man.
That was the best opportunity for Wapak, obviously, because that just rolled through on a lead from good to Coffey.
Yeah, the timing just not there, but, man, when you see that ball wide open in front of goal and all you got to do is stick your foot out, you're going to be kicking himself after that.
I think it makes you a little nervous on both sides about how that could have gone. You're able to get back to it as St. Mary's leading the 3-on-3, and Burkhart able to touch the ball for the first time in about 5 minutes. Guess that's good news if you're rooting for Wapak.
Yeah, it's a good sign for the Redskins now that they've been able to keep that ball on the other side of the field, because they were getting worked on there for a good amount of time by the St. Mary's attack. And again, you can see the Rough Rider kind of backed off a bit as the legs start to tire, but they got 8 minutes until half. They can rest up then. So expect for an explosive final few minutes here in the first half.
Foul on Caleb Benny. You could see it a little delayed. Took us a second to get up to it. As 8:15 footed off into the front of the box. That's Wilker again. Easy to track. One, because he's the guy with the biggest leg. Two, with the bright blonde hair. Off the right side, and a slide. Burkhart. It looked like a little bit to you from where we sit. Both field torn up from everybody running the same lanes, but almost a little slick.
Yeah, I mean, it can be. I think it was, raining earlier today as well, so maybe still a little leftover effect from that.
Up off the chest of good, and it played with a perfect thud. for Wapak. Quick little step over for Duncan Fry. And St. Mary's able to put it back now across and trying to go on the attack behind Ethan Rose. Rose, a lot of room to the left, comes back and finds 5 white jerseys in the middle of the field.
Yeah, St. Mary's bringing everybody back right now, the midfielders and defenders trying to get this one back up.
Another work here from the front of the box. That, I don't know, that was supposed to be a lead from Rose to Milky that just sort of sailed.
Nah, we'll just go with a miss hit. That's the best way to say that one. Sometimes you just can't get that foot around the ball like you'd like to, and that's the end result.
Substitution for St. Mary's with 6:52 to go in the first half. As that'll bring back Austin Drummond, the senior, here on senior night. It's Wapak senior night, not St. Mary's, obviously. You don't get to honor that, but you look at the starting lineup, 9 seniors on both sides, and not just 9 seniors, but 9 productive seniors.
Yeah, and that's where these last few games are really going to try to play hard. They know it's coming to an end here pretty soon, and they've got to really cherish these last few moments. But then you look at, from a coaching perspective, you want to get these younger guys some experience too, because if you've got sophomores that are going to be juniors and obviously freshmen will be sophomores next year, you want to get them in and play some varsity time because they'll be carrying the load for you next year.
Kyle Lenhart in on the substitution for Wapak. As you see the time left at 6 minutes. Throwing in from just in front of the lights now. The line drive off the ground for Aaron Good. I think eventually he kicks it out and it'll be a St. Mary's throw in. So it's not so much right now you look at the stops, because both goalkeepers have just made stops, but maybe a little bit more about opportunities wasted on each side.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, at this point, to use a football analogy, when you get towards the end of a half and game's tied up, sometimes you just want to go into the locker room with the tie ball game. And right now, both these teams starting to feel the effect of this aggressive play and how much they've been going up and down this field. They obviously want to get a goal before half, but I think they'd both be okay going into the locker room tied up at 0-0.
And it'll be a goal kick as Wapak tried the 2-on-1, but it ends up across the touchline. And you see a couple of seconds here, Spencer, when he put it down, made sure that his guys were going to get where he felt he could put this ball. Of course, if you find Austin Wilker, it's probably a good chance too. Right back on the attack goes Wapak, so that's about the end of that. Here's the lead for Gessler. Gessler tried to, he crossed one across, and the shot upper right corner for the goal. Wapak now on top 1-0 with 4:41, as I believe that's Hunter Coffey. Coffey now with his goal.
Just an unfortunate touch in the back line for St. Mary's. There's that one mistake that we talked about that neither team wanted to commit, and the Roughriders do, and just a great job by Coffey to put that one away and pick up the first goal of the contest.
So Gessler set up a big part of that as St. Mary's made a mistake trying to get it, and then his perfect cross to set that up. And you got to know, with the leg that Hunter Coffey has, it's not going to be, he's going to end up being probably a likely candidate for getting that first goal. Now 13 goals on the year leads Wapak in that category.
So now that the Redskins getting that first goal of the game, we talked about both teams being okay going into the locker room tied up. If you're St. Mary's, you want to get that one back, and you got 4 minutes to do so.
See exactly how it is that they respond, but you just talked about 2 minutes before that goal, about trying to get to the locker room, not trying to make that mistake. St. Mary's did as that ball shot off the right side for Evan Vogel. Looking for that 50th point on the year. Don't forget, week 8 of high school football tomorrow, as will be in Salina, Battle of Grand Lake, as the Bulldogs try to get St. Mary's with their first loss on the conference season. Roughriders, conversely, try to stay unbeaten and clinch themselves at least a share of the Western Buckeye League. That's looking forward to that.
So now with 3:20 to go in the first period of play, St. Mary's trying to get on that attack. If they can get one right back here in this first half, that would mean a lot going forward for them.
And a ball.
There it is.
Redirected right on cue for St. Mary's. That one goes for Ethan Rose.
I'll tell you what, this game right now, both teams showing the ability to score, and that was just a great answer by the Roughriders, and that's what we talk about with a team and a Dave Ring coach team. They're very disciplined. They're not going to get down on themselves, and literally just minutes later tying this one right back up.
A minute and 32 seconds. Didn't take long. So now you're really trying to get to the locker room with a tie game.
And in soccer, when you're most susceptible to scoring or to getting scored on is usually right when you start the first half and right when you start the second half and when you concede a goal or score one yourself.
And a ball across the goal line with 2:45 to go in the first half. So each team with goals, and that's they're impressive. You think about how many opportunities that each one has already had here in this first half. You think if you go through the last 2.5 minutes to that break at 1-1, setting that tempo right off the bat when you switch sides and getting that first mistake on the other side is going to be big.
Yeah, and you hear people say a lot of times, especially in soccer, well, what's the difference of going in 1-1 as opposed to 0-0? Well, the difference is you've seen that ball go through the back of the net, so now you know you're capable of it as an offense, and you also know from a defensive perspective that your opponents are capable of it as well. So it really changes the mindset of both teams.
So each team now trying to work. You see that foul. Wilker kind of stood there for an extra second, as he and Caleb Benny have mixed it up a couple of times. And you gotta be happy just to get to the half from a physicality standpoint for each team, because it has been that way throughout the entire first half.
And Mike, you go back to earlier in this first half when Wilker was brought down in the box. They didn't give the call, which again I think was a good no call, and both teams answering with a goal, but that could have changed the game immensely.
Beach with a nice crossover on the front of the box. Now the lead, and looked like the instep shot with a minute 15 for Wapak, but Spencer able to stop that advance from Tyler Amstutz. Now let's go to a minute left in the first half.
Miscommunication there between the midfielders.
You can make the same case for St. Mary's right there too, because Parker Enoch wanted that lead with the young man in front of him for St. Mary's, but just not on the same page of where that was going to be between he and Evan Vogel.
And I'll put it this way, you'd rather that your attackers have a miscommunication than your defenders. And from a coaching perspective, you'd rather obviously not score than give up a goal. And you look at that with just kind of the strategy of both these teams. They're very disciplined in that back line, and they're showing so here in this first opening half. And both teams done a great job of passing the ball around, and besides a mistake here or there, this game's been pretty clean.
So the final 20 seconds coming up off the board as Wapak was set to go on the attack, but Wilker and his big foot put a stop to that. Wapak with the head from Good with 10 seconds. Now Vogel's got to figure something out here pretty quick. And a long shot across the goal line for the Roughriders will put a stop to the first half. So 1 half in the books here at Ryan Field. St. Mary's 1, Wapak 1. Second half action just moments away here on Game Face Ohio.
Stars and Stripes Graphics is your local screen printer located just east of the St. Mary's Memorial High School. Visit our showroom for all things Rough Rider, including jackets, sweatshirts, hats, sweatpants, ball caps, and more. We also carry items for New Knoxville Rangers and select collegiate gear for Ohio State and Michigan. Stars and Stripes Graphics, your local screen printer.
Hello?
Call dropped.
Hello?
No more minutes. Lost your phone? Don't worry, telephone service from TSC is always crystal clear, never runs out of minutes, never has a dead battery, and most importantly, in an emergency, it displays your address for 911. Plus, TSC keeps you connected with free calling in our expanded calling area. Ask about telephone service from TSC today.
It's easy as 1, 2, 3, call TSC.
Strength is about so much more than the body. It's about being together, serving, sharing, and caring for those around us. It's about keeping score in the heart rather than on a scoreboard. Be a part of a community that builds more than your body. At the Wapakoneta Family YMCA.
TSC can save you money. How? TSC can save you money with Emerge.
What's Emerge?
The Emerge bundle plan. TSC will merge your phone, cable TV, and internet in one nice, neat package to save you money.
How much money?
A boatload. The Emerge bundle plan, only from TSC.
TSC, give us a call and see. It's easy as 1, 2, 3, call TSC.
When you see an orange truck, you think GA Windsor & Son Company. But the next time you see an orange GA Windsor & Son truck, we want you to think green. Why green? Because GA Windsor & Son are the original recyclers. Using a modern fleet of trucks, GA Windsor & Son Company collects food co-products from restaurants, food retailers, and food manufacturers in Ohio, Indiana, Michigan, and Kentucky. These food co-products are used to manufacture quality livestock and pet care feed ingredients. So the next time you see an orange GA Windsor & Son truck, think green.
Dr. Compton has been delivering quality chiropractic care for nearly 20 years. He's committed to helping you find relief as quick as possible so there's no lengthy care plans. At Neck and Back Pain Relief Center, most insurances are accepted and walk-ins are always welcome. Conveniently located in downtown St. Mary's across from Chase Bank. To learn more, visit us online at smpainrelief.com and follow us on social media.
It's the name that you want to remember. Neck and Back Pain Relief Center.
Hello, Frost Roofing.
Frost Roofing holds the same core values our company was founded upon nearly 9 decades ago. We proudly provide quality craftsmanship and top-notch service to each client we serve. We're licensed by several major roofing manufacturers to give you the right recommendations at the best value for your investment. With state-of-the-art equipment, cutting-edge technology, and our honest way of doing business, Frost Roofing is our area's preferred commercial roofing experts. To learn more, visit frost-roofing.com or call 419-739-ROOF.
Coming out of halftime in a 1-1 contest, St. Mary's with an own goal at 34:08 makes it a 2-1 St. Mary's lead. Wapak just a quick mistake and that quick. Now a 1-goal advantage for the Roughriders.
So the pace of this game to start things off here, Mike, is favoring at the moment the St. Mary's Roughriders, but now if you're Wapak, you got it in for the first time in the half, trying to get something going on the attacking end.
Difference in the end of the first half and the beginning of the second half, not only it's a lot brighter and foggier, but also that it's being played at almost breakneck speed as you see Vogel out on the run. Great stop
save
for Wapak.
Yeah, Burkhart, good job getting down low and saving that one.
Vogel's going to get caught. It's pretty obvious from here, at least from my vantage point, that he was offsides. So the goals coming in the first half of 4:41 for Wapak from Coffey, his 12th of the year. Made it a 1-0 Wapak lead. Ethan Rose got the equalizer for the Roughriders at 3:09, his third of the season to make it 1-1. And then the own goal at 34:08. The difference so far with St. Mary's trying to get out of this third-place deadlock in the WBL. Roughriders try to clear back out from Wilker. Nice little quick give and go off to the right side for him. And St. Mary's coming up with a corner kick. That will actually be their first corner. Substitutions for St. Mary's. We'll bring back in Austin Drummond. So the Roughriders will head down to the very well-lit corner.
And you see Wapak, this is the right move here to try to bring bodies up. If St. Mary's goes short, you don't want to give them space to cross it off. It looks like the Roughriders will just kick it straight from the corner.
Well, and something contrary, too, is that ball skirts away from the front part of the box before Sam Young puts his boot onto it, is that the other way around, Wapak did that same thing in the first half in that same corner. St. Mary's kind of said, all right, you can come, we'll wait for you. So now Wilker all on the run as he is having it taken away by Amstutz for Wapak. Kind of trying to skirt his way through traffic is Benny. Was a big part of the aggressive first half, and he's out to Hunter Coffey. Coffey, the goal for Wapak, and for a span of about 4 minutes, he was in possession of a couple of big shots that he could have made a couple of big differences in how this game is right now.
Well, right now, the good thing for both teams is that both of their stars, as you get an offsides called, and correctly so, both of their big-time players have shown up with Coffey and Wilker. Then for the St. Mary's Roughriders, they've both been able to have a presence in this one, and that's what you ask for as coaches, just to make your presence known, and they've both done a good job doing that so far.
Again, these teams could meet up again on, I believe it's the 21st. That is dependent on St. Mary's beating Van Wert in their first contest. Yes, actually, that being the 19th. The Van Wert contest with St. Mary's is the 16th. Tried to pick one ahead. So 27:40 left now in the regular season finale on both sides before they begin that tournament run. Lead into the front of the box. Coffey crossed over. St. Mary's maybe for a moment made that ball disappear, and just long enough that he couldn't get it into the back of the goal. And a long foot from Amstutz. Substitution for St. Mary's now with 27-17. As they send out Duncan Fry.
So, Mike, what that goal does for St. Mary's earlier in this half is now it gives them the confidence going forwards on the defensive end and on the offensive end, because you don't really need to do anything special. Just play your brand of soccer. It's the Redskins that will have to try to rush themselves as this clock continues to go down.
Parker Enoch just into the game, able to get up to the ball away from two different defenders, and he shoots one across that Burkhardt had to dive for. Those are probably the hardest, I would imagine, as a goalkeeper, because you just naturally assume all of those are going to be on goal, and you're going to dive just to make sure, all right, no way is this going to go into the back of the net.
Well, yeah, and the most important thing as a keeper is to know where you are at all times relative to the sticks behind you, because sometimes you can find yourself getting caught out and not knowing exactly where you're standing. But yeah, that's the right thing to do, obviously, is to dive and go after every ball like that.
Andrew Vogel in on the substitutions for St. Mary's with that last stop. Now Wapak trying to find that equalizing goal behind Aaron Good. We've got 26 minutes to figure that out. Ball sent down into the back corner for Young, right in front of the Wapak bench. It'll be a Wapak throw-in.
And, Mike, as I said, we're seeing good soccer being played out of both teams. It's very clean. The passes are nice and crisp, and both teams doing a good job of possessing the ball around each other at some point in this contest.
Beach wanted the low-line drive. He kicked it right off the back of a Rough Rider defender, and now St. Mary's will try and turn that into offense. But it's a little too far for Mr. Drummond. Now Coffey rather, quick crossover, looking to make it 2-2, rolls one, and he had that last split second where he had to get past both Noah Vogel and Michael Dietz. Cost him the opportunity, went a little bit more finesse than he wanted to.
A lovely bit of skill there by Hunter Coffey to get himself free, but that last little boot into the ball couldn't really come up with what he was looking for, and that could have been 2-2 easily. Great opportunity for the Redskins.
Wilker chips one ahead that is ultimately off the head of Caleb Benny. So a Rough Rider throw in now down in front of the lights as they bring in another substitution in the blue and gold. Wapak will counter by bringing in, well, they tried to bring in one of their own. And it'll be now 24 minutes and change left with a St. Mary's 2-1 lead. Throw off the head of a Wapak defender again, and adios to that ball.
It's going out for a St. Mary's corner, so a dangerous clearance. And when you're in the box like that, you don't always know who's around you. You just try to kick it out, but had some time there to try to get that one up and out. See what the Rough Riders do.
St. Mary's now, that kind of a wasted opportunity as it comes right back to Wapak. Quick bounce. Enoch tried to spin. Unfortunately for him, though, Caleb Benny's a solid defender. It'll go across, well, which way is it going to go? Because both teams are arguing that that was theirs. I think Wapak's going to get the goal kick. As Kyle Lenhart checks in for the second time for Wapak. There's a little bit of an argument, Eli, from both sides about which way they believe that ball was going to be.
Well, obviously both sides thinking that they're right, and I'm sure they each have their own claim for it. But right now, as the time continues to tick down second after second, the pressure is being put on the Redskins to try and get a goal back right here. And if you get down to about the 10-minute mark, you get down 10-5 minutes, that's when the pressure really starts to mount. So if they can get a goal here before we reach that point, and they can still try to play their brand of soccer, but once you get down into those late minutes, it goes away, the sense of just organization.
So under 23 minutes remaining in this second half, and St. Mary's called for offsides again. That has been a big thing for them so far. Here in the second half, they've got nailed 3 times for it. There's the ball in front of the Wapak bench. It'll be a St. Mary's throw-in for Michael Dietz.
Hey, Todd. So we don't hear anything now.
Rough Riders back on the advantage. Here comes Wilker. His big foot is going to be too much left. And he's arguing vehemently that that should probably be St. Mary's ball. It's not an argument he's winning, mind you. Just an argument that he's having as he pointed directly at the assumption that it went off of Burkhart's hands. So the Rough Riders off the front of the box. That's dangerous on both sides. Wapak will get it as Evan Vogel right in the center of the box.
Indirect restart for Wapakoneta. Benny.
So Benny back into the game for Wapak. 21-15 remaining in the second half. And you get to that point, I think a little bit, Eli, maybe where you slow down a little bit if you're St. Mary's. We thought it would happen to Wapak in the girls' game the other night, but they just kicked it into another gear.
Yeah, that is true. And, again, I'm going to go back to what we talked about during that game as well. Sometimes your best defense is that offense. And right now, if you're getting forward, you're getting chances for St. Mary's. You don't want to ruin that. Keep it up. Keep the pressure on.
Well, it's a very thin line, I would imagine, too, though, because on both sides of that, you don't want to slow down from what you've been doing. It's been working at times, and you talked about this in the open about not playing kickball, but a little bit, maybe it doesn't hurt you 5 or 10 seconds here and there now at this point in the game.
Well, the biggest thing is just not getting away from doing anything that you haven't done all year as a team collectively and how you organize yourselves. Especially if you're St. Mary's, because there's still, or excuse me, especially if you're the Redskins, because there's still a lot of time left on the clock for Wapak to try to get something together. They just can't rush themselves. When the clock gets down to that 5-minute mark, the 8-7 minutes, then they can start to put numbers forward. But just keep up doing what you're doing, because right now conceding a goal by trying to put numbers forward this early in the half really basically puts the nail in the coffin.
So the final 20 minutes up on the board now here in Wapak. Couple of big things, though. Congrats to the Wapakoneta girls picking up their first WBL title. Also, Jill Schmidtmeyer from St. Mary's down at state golf tournaments again. A lot of big things going on between the young athletes in both these schools right now.
Yeah, and both these schools enjoying much success in girls tennis this year. Wapak and St. Mary's near the top of the table there. So very successful fall season. And you talk about football as well, obviously covering them throughout the season here on Game Face. And we'll have the Roughriders and their clash with Salina on Friday, and should be a good one for sure, as these two will wait to meet till week 10 in the football field.
That'll be a good one. Just down the road, and that's another one I think a lot of people are circling on their calendars. I know I am. Now we'll see what Wapak can do with this transition from defense to offense just outside of 19 minutes. Shot left-footed. Oh. And Aaron Good just half a foot high from this being a 2-2 game.
And he was in such an awkward position to try to even get a chance to even put that foot on the ball. Really is something special there, because in all reality that one probably could have just gone right past him, but used his knowledge to just how he can bend his body and tried to put the foot on the ball and just didn't go what he wanted
is
to.
The answer to that.
Yeah. Didn't go exactly where he wanted to, but really good chance here midway through the second.
So the corner kick coming up for Wapak, their first since they've flipped ends of the field. And they will send now Tyler Amstutz out to retrieve the ball and to do it. And you look at the clock, you see that took this whole sequence has taken him about 20 or 30 seconds. Maybe later on you think about where were those extra seconds at. Now he's able to set it back up as he'll play out front. St. Mary's, though, every passing lane they've figured out how to cut off at times.
And Mike, maybe that comes into play later when you go back and look at the game film, but right now there's still a lot of time left in this contest, and you don't want to tire yourselves out too quickly, because if you're trying to go full gear ahead, full speed ahead right now as an offense, you're going to get tired legs, and you may not have it all down towards the final few minutes when you actually do need it.
Well, it seems right now that all speed is ahead for the Roughriders, as that ball is going to be picked up just in front of the oncoming charge of Evan Vogel.
And this is the time here within the next 5 minutes or so that if you start to notice those tired legs with some of your starters, you're going to sub them out, give them that quick 2-3 minute break, and then put them on for the final surge forward if you're Wapak.
So again, the big difference in this contest being the own goal coming at 34:08 remaining in the contest, and right now that's the only score of the second half, and that's the one that matters because the scoreboard says 2-1 St. Mary's. Up off the head of Michael Dietz. Dietz with the ball, he wanted to play that. He wanted to play it up ahead to one of his teammates, but nobody was really there for him having anywhere to go.
Yeah, just not on the same page. First time you've really seen that tonight in the midfield for the Redskins.
Got caught between where Ethan Rose and Austin Wilker were. Neither one were really where he needed them to be, as the traffic will cost an opportunity at the goal for Wapak.
A nice build-up there for the Redskins, though. So they're still getting numbers forward. They're still creating chances, and they really haven't changed up much of anything. So right now, if they can just keep with their formation as they make a few subs, keep that organization going, they'll have a good chance here in these final 16 minutes to try to get a breakthrough.
Substitution for Wapak coming just outside of 16 minutes in Hunter Coffey, has the only goal for Wapak, his 12th of the year, coming at 4:41 left in the first half. And he's a difference maker. You get in, you get him out in space, he can make something happen pretty quick. Speaking of that, Wilker met right on the ball by Caleb Benny, headband and all, as he shoots one over. You get that a little bit on both sides between he and Luke Beach. Beach now with the ball on his right foot. Try to find one, kind of thread that needle right in the middle of traffic.
Luke Beach putting on a show right now in the midfield for the Redskins.
And that's a dangerous ball that hung up there for Spencer to have to come out and play. That's 2 or 3 times now where he's made that decision. This one he has to come up and almost jump through traffic to try and punch out.
And if you're the Redskins right now, you're noticing that St. Mary's starting to back off a little bit. Their attack that they had through the first 20 minutes or so of the second half isn't really there, so you got to take advantage of that with your attacking possessions. And as it said in the keys to the game, try to finish in that final third. The most difficult thing to do.
And I don't know if I just happened to look down and watch Spencer in goal for St. Mary's, that I don't know if he maybe didn't fall into somebody, because it looked like for a split second he was working out both the hip and the shoulder. When he dove into traffic, he had 4 or 5 guys in front of him. He might have glanced off of one of them.
Well, we'll see, as Wapak's been testing him all night, so the next time they get it down there, we'll see how he deals with it.
Coffee, a little chip shot off to the right side. Good. Rolls it right back, and that's not the one we were talking about.
No.
Obviously, that makes it much easier for him to go down and just pick up.
Well, nothing wrong with the goal kick either, high into the sky, but as a midfielder, those are the ones from your keeper that you hate. When they just punt it high up there, you go, I really got to get ahead on that, because you don't get a foot or at least a head on that, you're going to get a lecture from the coach.
So obviously a much different St. Mary's squad than on Monday night when they beat Benjamin Logan 8-1. Last handful of games, they've won 4 straight. 4-2 over Bryan. They beat Defiance 3-0 and beat Salina at Salina 4-0. Now trying to add another goal here. And the slide and the foul
They're going to
in the box.
They're going to give the penalty. Yep, great job by Vogel. Nice skill move. Nothing his defender could do to take the ball away from him. So he last-ditch effort, tries to slide, and very dangerous to do in the box. The official sees the defender going to the ground sliding like that, then most of the time you're gonna get the penalty.
So now it'll be Evan Vogel, 49 points on the year, 22 goals, looks to line it up for St. Mary's. Similar, this is almost exactly how it played out the other way around in the girls' game on Tuesday night. Straight up and in the top left for the goal. Now a 3-1 St. Mary's lead with 13:29 on that penalty kick. Back after this here on Game Face Ohio.
Okay, guys, here's what we're going to do, okay? Camera's going to be running, and when the game is over, it's going to still be running. So gather your thoughts, and whenever you're ready to do the pregame show, give me like, a good 5-10 second clear of not talking. And then, Eli, you may remember this from doing the bonus game. Give me like a 3, 2, 1 countdown.
Yeah.
And then go ahead and start your pregame show. And then that'll be that.
Okay.
I'm running. I'm taking off. I'm showing Josh what he's got to do to close it down.
Okay.
All right, so go ahead and go back. Go ahead and start.
Back here after that penalty kick gets St. Mary's now a 3-1 lead. Mike and Eli here in the second half. This is a game I'd like to see a second time around. Not as a disrespect to Van Wert, just stating it as a fact of how that first tournament game coming up for St. Mary's will play.
Well, and also it's just the fact of how the game's gone and how clean it's been played, and this is really how the game of soccer is supposed to be played, and you don't see it all the time at the high school level. Both teams giving it their all right now. Is another great effort, dangerously falling into the box, and Wapak looking to get one back quick. That was the one they needed if they were going to have a chance to get back into it.
So 2 goals in this second half coming 21 minutes apart for St. Mary's. One on an own goal to make it 2-1, and the other on that penalty kick after the foul in the box. And a ball knocked away. That'll be a throw-in for St. Mary's. Not before they make a substitution just outside of 12 minutes remaining. So Friday night high school football here on Game Face Ohio. It'll be the Battle of Grand Lake, Salina, and St. Mary's. That's you got to be looking forward to that one, Eli.
I think everyone here is looking forward to that one, especially on the St. Mary's side. You look at the contest of that just 2 years ago and what that was.
Last year, a 30-point win for the Roughriders. They now have outscored opponents about 45-18 in WBL play this year. And a save here with 11.5 minutes. And with 11:29 now a 3-1 lead. Roughriders, you could feel a little bit as two Redskins collide. You feel St. Mary's, not the urgency, obviously, with this 2-goal lead that they had just 3 or 4 minutes ago.
No, I mean, really right now the pressure is all off of them, but that's helping them play looser, and they're starting to get more attacking attempts. And now you've got kind of a desperate Redskins squad as they're going to start to put numbers forward now. You got to get 2 in the span of 11 minutes. It's going to be very difficult, and that could lead to a counter if St. Mary's stays aggressive, which I assume they will.
So they've got about 10 minutes and change now as Wapak. It seems like outside of that one right there, every time in the last 20 minutes or so in the second half that St. Mary's has given Wapak a split second to go on a run outside of the 2 big opportunities Caleb Benny had and Aaron Good, that they've quickly figured out the passing lanes and are able to slow these balls down for Wapak.
Yeah, and as we talked about, this is a big game for both teams. Obviously, it goes far to determining how the Western Buckeye League plays out. But the most important thing is if these two end up matching up in tournament, now these two teams will know what to expect playing each other in such close proximity from game to game. And I really think that you're going to get a Wapak squad that if they're unable to come out with a win here, they're going to go into the first round of the playoffs where we think they will end up playing St. Mary's with better knowledge about how to play the game, how to come out and start it, because really St. Mary's just took advantage of their opportunities, and Wapak hasn't here in the second half, and that's really what it's come down to.
And you talked about the top half of the WBL with Elida, Kenton, and OG just ahead of Wapak and St. Mary's in that deadlock behind OG. The Titans get that tie with Wapak last week, and that's really important too. Not only, obviously, this game with 3rd or 4th in the league, but that's one, again, that Wapak had until 18 seconds to go in the contest.
Yeah, and just looking.
Vogel with a nice crossover. Tried to lead it on the backside for Andrew Vogel. That would be Evan to Andrew.
Vogel with a great bit of skill here on the near sideline before that build-up of play. But you just look at that Western Buckeye League standings, and I think the most surprising team is Kenton at number 2. I think a lot of us had thought that they would be a team to be reckoned with in the coming years, but I don't think anyone thought they'd take that next step this year. And here they are at number 2 with 1 loss and 1 draw, and that's it.
And the girls played pretty well this season as well. Kind of gave a lot of people, I know I heard about the OG game, gave the Titans a handful of troubles, gave Elida a little bit of trouble too. So maybe things on the pitch working out right now for the Wildcats.
And you really see, as you look at Salina sitting about 7th right now, what the effect of losing all those seniors for them did last year. That team that made a run 1 win away from going down to Columbus and playing in the state tournament, but really a different season for them for sure, as they got the better of these Roughriders last year, but St. Mary's getting the better of them this time.
And you talk about that Salina squad, they actually start off with one of the 2 oddities in the WBL Elida district bracket, where they get Wauseon, and if they win, then they will go to Kenton. Ball off the front and sent right back by St. Mary's, and it's changed a little bit of the pressure inside the box that Wapak has gotten in this half. As the ball sent just screeching past the St. Mary's bench by Caleb Benny.
Yeah, and if you're Wapak, the window of opportunity is closing within the minute. I mean, you don't get a goal here before the 5-minute mark. It's going to be very hard to even think about getting 2 in the span of 5 minutes, especially with the way this defense has performed to St. Mary's. And keep in mind, if Wapak does get that goal, the Roughriders are going to send bodies back to make sure that they don't get the second.
Spencer Troglin and Kelsey Shannon into the game on the last set of subs for St. Mary's. Now Wapak will bring in their own substitution, and Graham Kinnear, the freshman.
But all in all, a really intriguing contest tonight between these two teams. They've really impressed me with how they've both performed. Neither team went away from what they're used to, and they've really been able to put on a show for the crowd here tonight, even though the majority of Wapak fans won't necessarily like the outcome. They got to like how their boys played tonight.
Yeah, and it really – it's almost 2 different games at a point where you go through the first 35 minutes with the no score. Each team has those opportunities you talked about, and all of a sudden just bang, bang. Back-to-back, and in less than a minute and a half, the 2 goals. You go into the half. Similar with about 5 minutes before that, you talked about how, each team maybe trying to get to the locker room with it at 0-0, and all of a sudden, Wapak goes up. Talk about St. Mary's as there's a foul here with 6:11 that you've got to get yourself even. And as you're telling the story, boom, there's the goal. You go into the half even. Roughriders come out aggressive to start the second half. They get that own goal, and there was a lot of traffic on that goal with 34 minutes to go, and then they had the penalty kick. And all of a sudden, now you're at the second part of that where you go from a little bit of, all right, we're down 1 to now it's a 2-point game.
Well, now they've got a great opportunity here off this set piece to advance that even further. But one thing you know about this Rough Rider squad and a team coached by Dave Ring is that even if they walk out of here with this 3-1 win, it's not going to really mean anything for them going forward, as that one skies over as far as when it comes to if these two teams meet again. You know, they're going to take what they've learned here today.
Kind of out of sight, out of mind.
Right. They're going to take what they've learned, and obviously they're going to use it in that game, but they're not going to think just because they beat them once that it'll be easy to beat them again. Because, again, this one will be at St. Mary's if they do meet in the tournament. And it just based off of how this game played out tonight, you know if the ball bounces a few different ways that this could very easily be a different score.
And you talked about it Tuesday night when we had the girls' version as we go under 5 minutes here. That big field.
Yeah.
Of being able to, all right, maybe the shadows are a little different when the lights come on. It's bright here. These lights are just putting out light everywhere. But a couple of dark spots on that pitch at St. Mary's, and kind of plays havoc with the shadows about how that is going to go on.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know this, but the sizes do differ as they go on, you know, from school to school as far as the length and the width. And the OHSA has a regulation that as long as you're within this size, you know, it's a legal field, and St. Mary's has the biggest possible. So that really tests out your team because it spreads them out, and they got to try to use the whole field. And, of course, the Rough Riders are used to it.
So the final couple of minutes now, 4, as each team has begun to make substitutions. It's senior night here. 5 seniors honored for Wapak, playing in possibly their final home game. If you look at, depending on how the tournament plays out, if it was to be Van Wert who would beat St. Mary's, they would come here. But the other way around, if it's the Rough Riders, is not to count the chickens before they're hatched, but we anticipate that it's going to be based on the earlier season matchup. It will be at Memorial. So now it is Harshbarger, the freshman. And it sends one. Wow, that took a couple of awkward bounces and almost inadvertently cleared out by Wapak.
Fortunately there for the Rough Riders, it goes harmlessly back to the back line of the defense, and they can get their defense back.
So 3:15 left up on the board. One of the captains, Caleb Benny, sends it back in play for Seth Ricketts. Ricketts past the outstretched hands of Hank Spencer. Will go across the goal line, just inside the open gate. And now at 2:57, St. Mary's can take themselves an extra 5, 6, 7 seconds at a time and try and just get out of here with the win, which will be number 6 on the year in WBL play.
Well, if you think about it, it's kind of fitting. The Redskins girls team goes into St. Mary's. They spoil their senior night, and then the Rough Riders about to do it here on the Voice senior night in Wapak. So these rivals getting the better of each other on different nights.
And like you talked about earlier on, is Wapak trying to get at least back to 3-2 with 2.5 minutes to go. That, you know, there are a couple of kids on each one of these sides that will see each other also in Week 10 of the football season.
Exactly. And also on the girls' side of things, their playoff, the way that their draw works out, they could possibly have a Wapak-St. Mary's matchup in the tournament season.
A couple of quick plays from Ethan Rose. Love his cleats. Makes it easy to figure out where he's at all times. That, and he's a terrific ball handler. That's also a big part of it. And the Rough Riders now offside with 1:50. That's been a thing for them. That's the 4th time they've got nailed for that on this side of the field. I don't know if that's just them being too aggressive or if it's how the light plays out.
Well, right now I think it's more of Wapak trying to play a higher line because they're getting those bodies forward, so they don't really have as many numbers back. And St. Mary's still trying to be aggressive. I don't think it's any different from the first half of how they're trying to play. It's just that the defense for Wapak has changed their mindset up a little bit.
So down now to the final minute 20 here as Harshbarger left foots one up into the front of the box. It's headed away. Played perfectly for Wapak for a split second. Gessler, who had the assist on the goal in the first half for Wapak, had a shot at it, but just that window slammed shut pretty quick.
Yeah, great job by Howie Spencer to get over and knock it away for the Roughriders.
So now down under a minute remaining here in the second half. 3-1 St. Mary's, a pair of goals in this second half. One an own goal, one on a penalty kick. That right there pretty much should tell you the luck has not gone the way that the home folks would like here in the second half.
No, and I will say, for being a rivalry game, it's been pretty clean throughout. A few, pushing and shoving bits here and there, but both teams really making this a respectable contest.
So the final 30 seconds on the board. Harshbarger dribbles. He went on a run. Noah Vogel, though, cut him off, and ball into the stands with 20 seconds will get Wapak a throw-in. Harshbarger off the front. Now the quick turn kick from Gessler in the final 10 seconds. It's a crisp night here in Wapak. I feel a little bit of a breeze that we didn't have earlier on, and St. Mary's is going to put this one in the record books as a win. A 3-1 win for the Roughriders. We'll come back here in just a couple of seconds, and we'll have the wrap-up for tonight's Western Buckeye League contest on Game Face Ohio.
Where is that TSC bill? How can I pay it if I can't find it?
You don't need the bill. You can pay it online at telcirco.com.
Wasn't there a special this month?
Yes, we got it from TSC's Facebook page.
I know I've got the announcement for the club here somewhere.
I just sent it to TSC to air on Channel 2. With telcirco.com, Facebook, Channel 2, and their newsletter, TSC makes it easy to stay connected.
Now, if they could just help me clean up my desk.
It's easy as 1, 2, 3, call TSC.
Casa Chic in Wapakoneta has what you need for game night. Cheer for our Redskins in sweatshirts, sweaters, handcrafted scarves, hats, and gloves. Casa Chic has a variety of vendors, each with a unique style of their own. From handcrafted pottery to knit items to an eclectic blend of home and garden decor to new and refurbished furniture for any room in your home. Come see what Casa Chic has for you. IC Signs designs, creates, and installs custom eye-catching signs. We use state-of-the-art technology to produce indoor and outdoor signs, LED message boards, and vehicle wraps. We can also help you with LED light conversion, sign refurbishing, custom t-shirts, promotional items, and your print needs. Whether you know what you want or have no idea, trust the experience of IC Signs. Call IC Signs at 419-738-6640.
Owen Kitchen and Bath Showroom has been family owned and operated since 1990. We can help you from start to finish with your entire project. Let one of our professional designers put the final touches on your project. Owen Kitchen and Bath now has 2 showrooms to better serve you in Wapakoneta and Lima. Owen Kitchen and Bath, cabinetry that will take your breath away at prices that won't.
Stars and Stripes Graphics is your local screen printer located just east of the St. Mary's Memorial High School. Visit our showroom for all things Rough Rider, including jackets, sweatshirts, hats, sweatpants, ball caps, and more. We also carry items for New Knoxville Rangers and select collegiate gear for Ohio State and Michigan. Stars and Stripes Graphics, your local screen printer.
Hello? Call dropped? Hello? No more minutes? Lost your phone? Don't worry. Telephone service from TSC is always crystal clear. Never runs out of minutes. Never has a dead battery. And most importantly, in an emergency, it displays your address for 911. Plus, TSC keeps you connected with free calling in our expanded calling area. Ask about telephone service from TSC today.
It's easy as 1, 2, 3, call TSC.
strength is about so much more than the body. It's about being together, serving, sharing, and caring for those around us. It's about keeping score in the heart rather than on a scoreboard. Be a part of a community that builds more than your body. At the Wapakoneta Family YMCA.
So a final score of 3-1 here on Game Face Ohio. The Redskins fall to St. Mary's. Now finish the WBL contest is Wapakoneta at 5-3-1. St. Mary's finishes it off at 6-2-1 with their 12th win of the season. We talked about it, Eli, about controlling the tempo. You talked about playing your own game and the keys to the game. St. Mary's was able to do that in the second half. It starts out there behind with 4:41 in the first half to go, and Hunter Coffey, just a brilliant shot for his 12th goal. Made it 1-0 off the Gessler assist, and the lead was the beautiful part of how that worked out.
Yeah, and I will say this, Mike, for just kind of the overview of this game is that both these teams are very well coached. I really, you can tell out there the way that they are disciplined and the way that they handle themselves organization-wise. They understand how the game of soccer is supposed to be played, and it made for a great contest to watch tonight. You don't always get that in high school soccer. Sometimes you go to a game and you got one team dominating the other, and it makes for a boring affair. But this was a very interesting game from start to finish to watch, and there's a reason that these two teams in the past few years have always hung around the top of the Western Buckeye League table. It's the discipline and the coaching, and it was on show again tonight. And I tell you what, even myself being a Cougar, I wouldn't mind seeing this matchup again in the tournament, which will obviously mean that St. Mary's would have to advance past Van Wert in the first round, but I'd be okay with it.
3:09 to go in the first half. Ethan Rose's third goal of the season ties the contest at 1. We stay that way until halftime, and a couple of minutes into the half, an own goal in the left side of the net makes it a 2-1 St. Mary's lead. It stays that way until a foul with 13:29 left, and Ethan Vogel puts his 23rd goal of the season and 50th point in the back of the net to make it a 3-1 St. Mary's final.
Yeah, and again, just a great all-around game. These two teams ending their regular season, really a high note. Even if you're Wapak, you take the loss, but you played really well against your county rivals. And you know every year when this schedules come out, when you know when you're playing these teams, both coaches circle it, say, all right, St. Mary's week is this week, Wapak week is this week, and you really get excited for it. And it came and went with both the boys and girls, and they were two great contests.
High school football coming up on Friday night. Salina and St. Mary's here on Game Face Ohio. Off for Wapak. They you talked about take the bye. St. Mary's gets Van Wert on the 16th. See if these teams meet again on the 19th.
I'd say there's a good chance it'll happen.
So from all of us here at Game Face Ohio, Eli and Mike, have a great night and an even better tomorrow.